To deliver a solution that meets defined business and stakeholder requirements, solution providers need a level of detail that they can easily understand and use to make appropriate design decisions. Solution requirements provide that level of detail. Our free online video, What Are Requirements?, provides an in-depth description of what business, stakeholder, and solution requirements are and how they define a proposed solution in increasing levels of detail. Simply stated, a solution requirement defines a function the solution will perform, data it will manipulate, a quality it will possess, or a constraint it must meet. By convention, there are two fundamentally different but related types of solution requirements for IT projects. Functional requirements, FR, define functions with their related data, while non-functional requirements, NFR, define what stakeholders consider acceptable qualities of the solution. As the one wearing the BA hat, you need to understand how each of these four dimensions affects the delivered application. An effective solution requirement defines only one. You need to package the solution requirements into related sets that define all dimensions the solution providers need to deliver the right product. Here's an example to clarify exactly what this means using a stakeholder requirement that meets all of our previously defined rules, i.e., it is a simple, complete, well-structured sentence that states the business outcome, targets components that are in scope, and is clear to the target audience. To make responsible financial decisions, the Chief Financial Officer, CFO, needs to know the projected net income, P&I, for the upcoming 12-month period. Although this statement is sufficient from the business perspective, it might not be clear to the solution providers. Any application that satisfies this stakeholder requirement also has to satisfy solution requirements, such as calculate projected net income, which is a function, projected gross income, which is data, projected expenditures, which is data, current date, also data, a cash forecast window, which is a user view, a rolling 12-month period, an NFR, this will become a business rule, more on that later, limit access to CFO, another NFR, security requirement. This set is obviously incomplete, as you could extract many other functional and non-functional requirements from this requirement statement. It serves here only to illustrate the level of detail that solution providers need to do their job. As noted earlier, solution providers face an immense number of decisions on how a future business solution will work, and each decision has consequences that are difficult to foresee. For example, there are many different ways to implement the calculate projected net income function, and each way has its own pros and cons. The selected way will impact the workflow of several people significantly, e.g. sales, finance, and budgeting departments. There's no question as to whether these decisions will be made. The only questions are who will make the decisions and when do they make them. Organizational factors such as job titles, roles and responsibilities, skills of the individuals on a project, and the type of software development methodology, or SDM, will determine who should discover this level of detail and when they should do it. The default is always the individual who needs the decision to finish his or her job, namely the solution provider. The question now becomes whether that individual should be making decisions that have a significant impact on the success of the project and the future of the business. We strongly recommend assigning this responsibility to someone who represents the business community. Solution requirements give the solution providers the guidance they need to make their technical decisions in the best interest of the business community. When to define solution requirements depends on the SDM you use. In a waterfall, iterative, or structured approach, the one wearing the BA hat does it before finalizing the requirements. In an agile setting, developers will usually identify solution requirements for the IT component when they start to code a specific user story or work item. Regardless who defines solution requirements and when they do it, solution providers need a sense of direction in all four dimensions, functions, data, qualities, and constraints, for each requirement to guide their decision-making process. The critical question is how to get from business and stakeholder requirements to the solution requirement level. In this segment, we'll introduce you to a technique for extracting explicit and implied solution requirements, both functional and non-functional, from a requirement statement. The technique starts with the functional dimension and progresses toward the non-functional dimensions, data, quality, and constraints, later. This ensures that the technique is repeatable and verifiable to minimize missing solution requirements.